Today I decided to make this video. It's not any kind of review or tool video. I know most of mine are either car repair videos or it's something I bought, review on it, whatever. Guys, today's video is I worked on a car today. Obviously I work on cars every day, automotive repair, and something that really came across like as a gripe, so we'll get right into it. So I worked on this Volkswagen Passat today, and the complaint on the ticket was blower motor is not working. I'm pretty sure it said blower motor. It's either that or blower fan, right? So I get in the car, yep, confirmed. It doesn't work on any of the speeds. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a manual control. HVAC control head, which has nothing to do with it, but whatever. So what ended up happening is I get into this vehicle, I start trying to figure out what's going on. First thing I try to do was disconnect the connector off the blower motor. I'll try to make this short. I don't want to make it too long. I had to remove the glove box to get to the blower motor connector. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It only took like 15 minutes or whatever. But so I had my Power Probe out. I kind of been resorting to that lately as my first go-to for electrical. It's been working out well for me. But besides that, so I'm going about my business, and I'm checking for power. No power at that connector. So I pull the resistor connector off that's right next to it, and I'm probing those wires to see if there's any power there. Nothing. I got nothing anywhere. So I go right to fuses. I'm like, there's a fuse that's blown, whatever. It's got to be a fuse. So instead of looking up a wiring diagram or a fuse box diagram to try to figure out which each individual fuse go to, or where the location of the blower fuse is, I figured it was just going to be just as fast for me to test the fuses in the fuse box. You know what I'm saying? In the engine bay and in the driver's side compartment. So I chose to do that. I just run through and just poke each one. It doesn't really take that long. Some guys out there might be like, you should just find that one fuse, blah, blah, blah. So if I just run right through, I run through them all and I find a blown one, I don't have to spend the time to look up, okay, which one's which. A lot of fuse boxes have them labeled. Volkswagen, on this particular one, they're not labeled. So you have to either go in the owner's manual or on the repair website that we pay for, Identifix or ALLDATA. So I'm running through, just poking at them all. They're all good, right? None of them are blown. I'm like, well, what the frick? So I decide then I'm going to go over my Power Probe, and I'm just going to put power and ground to this blower motor. I'm just going to confirm that the blower motor works. So I go over there, I do that, it's seized up. No good. So I'm like, okay, so it needs a blower motor, but that still doesn't explain why I have no power. I was like, after I know that's seized up, it must have blown a fuse. Something burnt up because of that blower motor. So I decided to start looking up diagrams and trying to find a fuse. Actually, I didn't look up diagrams quite yet. I pulled out the owner's manual. Luckily, they had one in the car. And I figured out there's 3 fuses. It seemed like potentially there was for the blower motor. So I checked. I forget which numbers they were. But anyway, so 2 out of the 3 actually had fuses in them. And I didn't think anything of it. So, because a lot of cars come through, they're all generic fuse boxes, and some cars may or may not have certain accessories, and some circuits aren't fused just because cars don't have those accessories, so they just don't put fuses in there. So one missing, I didn't think nothing of it, right? So I go about my business. I was like, those fuses are good. I was like, what the hell? So I look up a diagram. I go on Identifix. I actually just typed in blower motor on Identifix, and it says to check these 3 fuses I've already checked. And then it gets into more in-depth stuff, and I'm like, I don't think I gotta go and be that in-depth. So I figure out that it's got a separate relay holder in the kind of in your knee area underneath the steering wheel. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna check this relay. I'm gonna pull the relay out. As I start doing that, I get to thinking, I'm like, what are the chances that that missing fuse or that one fuse that said it went to the blower motor, could it be that that fuse is missing? Why would that fuse be missing if I'm the one looking into it and they've asked me to figure out why it doesn't work? So I end up grabbing a 40 amp fuse, and in the driver's side, the fuse panel's in the driver. You open up the door, it's right there by the dashboard. You pop off the side cover. So I pop a fuse in there. I run over to my blower motor connector. Oh, guess what I have now? I have power. So the moral of this story is, clearly somebody has already been in there or knows that this fuse is blown, because somebody took the time to locate this fuse, pull it out, and leave it out of this fuse box. Didn't even put it back in there and leave it for me or somebody trying to diagnose it to find a blown fuse, to say, oh, this fuse is blown, let me put in another one. You put another one, you pop that one, okay, something's wrong. I'll go check the blower motor right off and see if it's seized up. Oh no, they took the fuse out, threw it in a freaking garbage can, and when they came in, they said absolutely nothing about this fuse being gone. You know, they could have came in and said, hey, you know, I had so-and-so look at it, or even I figured out online, poking around, I checked this fuse, it was blown, I threw it in the garbage, it's blown. No, they gave no indication that anybody had been in there and freaking pulled that fuse out and threw it in the garbage. Why would you not provide me that information? Guys, when you're bringing your car, even if you've dicked around with it on your own, which is cool, I'm totally into that. I'll even help people out a little bit, you know, give them ideas. Guys, if you've already done some pre-gaming, or if you've already taken something apart, or if you've already removed something out of a car and then you bring it somewhere and try to have somebody diagnose it, give them that information. It's going to save you money, potentially. You know, it may or may not. Sometimes it could cost you money because you've done the wrong things. But if you already know that your blower motor fuse is blown and you've gone to the extent of finding it and pulling it out, or somebody has done this for you, why would you not come in and when you check in say, hey, here's the fuse, it's blown, it came out of this fuse box, it goes to the fan, we're just unsure why the fuse keeps blowing. That's a total different diagnostic strategy I would have went in. It would have taken me 20 minutes, 25 minutes, instead of an hour's time I had into it, between looking up diagrams, taking out glove boxes, pulling instrument panel pieces down, checking the fuses, you know, just bringing the car in, just doing the generic stuff, putting power to blower motor. You know, time goes quick, and I had about an hour into it. It probably would have taken me 20, 25 minutes to diagnose it if somebody would have said, this fuse is blown. You know, can you go from there? And it literally probably would have taken me 25 minutes, because I would have gone right to the blower motor, tried that, and I would have found it was seized. I'm all done at that point. It's seized up. We have to do that first. We'll try it afterwards, obviously. But so I ended up leaving the blower motor disconnected, and I put a fuse in there, and the fuse didn't pop. So when they decide to buy a blower motor or whatever they decide to do, because I didn't fix it yet, I didn't put a blower motor in it, it should be fine. You know, I'll try it out. If the fuse blows, and obviously, you know, there's more to it, but I know, because I put my power probe on it, that motor's not moving. So I suspect that that's probably going to be the end of the issues. Moral of the story is, if you know something ahead of time, give that information. It's only helpful. All right, that's my rant for today. That goes for anything, guys. If you watch this and you're thinking about bringing your car in for repairs, and you already know something they may not, give them the information. Some guys might get pissed that you're trying to do their job, and some guys, I'm at the age and at the point where I don't care. You've done what you've done. Tell me what you've done, and I'll decide to do what I want to do from there. You know, you brought it to us for repairs, and I'll make that choice of how I go forward. You know, that's why you brought it to us. I'm only going to do the best that I know how to do and do right by the customers. So, all right, guys, peace out.